A challenging track with only 4 clears saw Deusser back on top, but was Olaf Petersen Jr. maybe the real winner of the week? Welcome to Horse Bytes, your 5 in 10 5-star show jumping, all in 10 minutes. A beautiful week in Mexico saw some top sport and plenty of action at the 5-star in San Miguel de Allende. Quite a strong field showed up for the event, including busy world number 1 Henrik von Eckermann, who was in Mexico 2 weeks ago, flew to Barcelona last week for the LLN, and popped back over the pond to finish on the podium this week again in Mexico. The main players were on top all week, with Daniel Deusser taking 2 wins, including the Grand Prix, Carlos Hank Guerrero placing in almost every class and taking the win in Sunday's meter 50, Henrik winning the qualifier and finishing 3rd in the Grand Prix, and Emanuele Camilli finishing 4th in the qualifier and eventually 2nd in the GP. It was a shuffle of those 4 from the 2 main classes of the event, although John Perez of Chile managed to squeak out 2 wins throughout the week as well. Overall, we saw a pretty strong field of riders with some newer horses, and with only 4 clear in the first round of the Grand Prix, it was quite a tough enough 5-star. Helena Stormans, who was in Mexico, had some thoughts on the Grand Prix track.
The course was fairly set, but it was difficult. It was a 5-star Grand Prix, 160. That's the way it is. I think if you're going to enter a class like that, you're going to have to jump decent jumps. Olaf Petersen got a great result. It was good sport, but it was not for the faint-hearted. Very bad luck was Carlos Hanks. He rode super fast round. He was out the gate very early. He did a very different turn. He took a completely different route in the jump off to anyone else. He turned inside a little hedge that they had, and he was also quicker than Daniel. But sadly, 1 down, but he went on to win quite a lot at the show.
Taking a look at the Grand Prix itself, the course was built by Olaf Petersen Jr. over 17 jumping efforts, a double, and a very late triple. The class saw 35 starters contest a time allowed of 88 seconds that proved heartbreak for a few. It was quite a long course. We don't often see time alloweds over 85 seconds in most big Grand Prix, and with the triple at 13 A, B, and C, the demanding course took its toll. I'm not gonna lie, this was a pretty hard class, especially with the undulated surface of the grass field that pitched some fences on a downhill and caused quite a lot of trouble. Number 3 perhaps fell the most, as many people got too deep to it on the angle and had the front pole. Like I mentioned, 13A fell quite a bit, as did the Oxer before it at fence 12, with the Liverpool underneath and the horizontally striped poles. Anytime you have those poles with the pinstripes, they appear like an optical illusion and almost seem to look like they're moving, and with the Liverpool below drawing the horse's eyes down, it makes for a very difficult jump. All in, the course designer set a pretty challenging course for the relatively strong field, maybe almost too challenging. It was certainly an eventful class with 5 withdrawing, 1 getting eliminated, and a number of wild moments. Fences fell everywhere, and it wasn't over till it was over, with the last proving to be the best in the jump-off. Andres Escarraga, who had trouble at the open water back in Paris at the Olympics, managed to get Contendros over the water this time, but picked up a few faults in other places of the course. Patricio Pascual Pou had trouble early on at number 3, similarly to the likes of Jaime Escarraga, Alejandro Mills, Zoe Conter, Yannicka Springer, and others. On a bit of a funky angle, slightly downhill and stout enough, the blue Oxer at number 3 fell about 30% of the time. Richard Howley and his winning mount Zodiac from 2 weeks ago picked up 16 jumping penalties as the 9-year-old failed to make it a double in Mexico. Federico Fernandez and his Olympic partner Romeo saw a piece of broken tack midway through, as the gelding's noseband could be seen flopping around as they completed the course with 1 down. Henrik and the newly acquired partnership with Minuteman, formerly seen under Willem Greva and McLean Ward, looked a bit hairy in round 1, as they were super crooked to the double but managed to keep it together and jump clear in only their 2nd Grand Prix start together. Similarly, Emanuele Camilli and Odense Odeveld made a huge adjustment to that same double, but also managed to clear it, eventually finishing in 2nd. If you remember, a few weeks ago, we spoke about riders electing to withdraw from the jump-offs after jumping clear in the qualifiers to save their horses for the Grand Prix. Well, 2 weeks ago, it didn't quite work out for Carl Cook, but this week, Camilli jumped 1 of 18 clears in the qualifier, elected not to jump the jump-off, and came back to finish 2nd in the Grand Prix. So sometimes that strategy does work out. What didn't work out, however, was Erin Ballard's attempt at the watermelon wall. Her mount to floor 111 had no intention of jumping the spooky fence after a lost stirrup put Erin a bit off balance to attempt it. Carlos Hank was the only rider to jump clear in the first half, but with 3 more joining him in the second half, it was Daniel Deusser and Gangster who really put on a show for their first 5-star victory together. It certainly wasn't looking like a great day for the StepX team after both Conter sisters retired, but Deusser swooped in to save the day. After finishing second in a 5-star 2 weeks ago, Double D did what he does best and, in my opinion, outshined the rest of the competition. Helping to guide and lift Gangster around the challenging track, his expertly executed and brilliant performance earned them the win. Carlos Hank had the fastest time in the jump-off, but had one down, while Henrik chose the conservative path and guided Minuteman to a slow but clear effort, ending in third, while Emanuele put in another super solid performance with his trusty steed Odense Odeveld to finish second, making it their 4th 5-star podium finish. All in, not the hardest class, but certainly a challenge with worthy opponents. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10 for exciting sport and plenty of action. Well, that's a wrap on this week's top highlights, and stay tuned next week for a huge week of 5-star show jumping, with the LGCT Finals in Rabat offering over 10.5 million euros in prize money, a 5-star in Tryon, and the start of the Western European World Cup League in Oslo. It's sure to be packed with highlights. But before you go, have a look at this week's wildest moment when Jaime Azcárraga's Bailey van Elam took an unusual route over the watermelon wall. Stay tuned to all of our socials. Make sure to subscribe and follow along all the action as it unfolds here on Horse Bytes, your 5 and 10 5-star show jump, all in 10 minutes.